feels super good.
All right, we're on Disco Acid Cult TV. I think it's just me tonight again, so I gotta change the background back to the usual background. I always forget about that. I never prepare for anything. I never prepare for this stuff. I think it's been like a week since I've been on too. But next week I'll probably be on more. Man, I'm already sweating. It's fucking hot. I'm already tired of this weather. It's the worst weather in the world. What's that, Proto Max? I think I think I might be on Monday or Tuesday, and I might have Mark on there with me. We were just talking. He said he might show up in chat tonight. So we'll see if he does or not. But he should be back on next week. So next week I ought to be streaming more often than just like one time a week or whatever. Let me see. I don't even actually have shit. I mean, pretty much just like usual. I don't have shit for tonight. Dude, it's like impossible to find stuff to talk about nowadays. It's all politics. Even like on the pop accounts. Like I follow a bunch of Twitters like TMZ and there's one called like Pop Crave or something. Like half of what they post is like Donald Trump stuff. Like, dude, I'm following you guys for pop culture stuff. I'm not following you guys for politics. But it seems like they've kind of melded together today. You can't really do one without the other. Yeah, it should be cool. It should be cool. I think I always forget that I still have his laptop, so he'll be the rare exception of the phone guest. But like I said, we allow exceptions once in a while for people. For people if they come on with a phone. If I let you on the stream on a phone, that means I like desperately need you on the stream, basically. Yeah, I know. Yeah, can't we talk about the political and economic state of the world right now? That's the bummer, because how old is Jaden Smith? Jaden Smith is like fucking, what, 14? 12? 7? 26? Okay, yeah, so pretty much 12. Dude, when I was 26, and when everyone else that I knew who was 26 at the time, like, we didn't give a fuck about the political and economic state of the world. I mean, when I was 26, I was like, spent most of my time in a trap house. So maybe that's why I'm kind of, maybe I could be wrong. Maybe there were 26-year-olds when I was 26 that cared about the political and economic state of the world, but just the people that I was around, we were a little too busy. Talk about the tragedy. Yeah, dude, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. When you sent me that, I was actually kind of pissed. Ghost. It sounds like they had some kind of dispute. Ghost and Sour Patch, like the brands. And yeah, they can't come to an agreement. I would hope that Ghost, maybe, I'm sure they won't. I would hope that Ghost can kind of do like a ripoff. Maybe they could do some kind of knockoff flavor, like it won't be Sour Patch Kids, but they could do like their own blue raspberry, and it's pretty much the same shit. Because I don't know what else Ghost is gonna sell. I'm pretty sure that this is probably like their most popular shit is the Sour Patch drinks. I read that Ghost is also ending, or no, what is it? The brand that owns Sour Patch Kids, they also own a bunch of other brands that do Ghost, or that partner up with Ghost. So, Ghost does like also like protein powders. I used to drink back when I was drinking protein powders and stuff. They've got like Chips Ahoy flavors and Oreo flavors, and the same company owns Chips Ahoy and Oreo and all that. So Ghost is like losing all their shit, like everything, all in one all in one dissolved partnership. Yeah, I wonder how much a pallet would be. Cool if you get a pallet and then I could start selling them online once they go away. I also wonder how long it's gonna take for them to actually disappear. Like, obviously, I went to the gas station today and, they obviously fucking have them. But, yeah, I wonder how long it will take for all the Sour Patch Ghosts to disappear completely, you know? Because I would imagine there's still a shit ton. They just started making them with the cans without the sticker too. I remember that was, like, a super recent thing. The cans like, this can I have, it's the sticker, it's just a plain can, but it's got the sticker wrapped around it. But they just recently started making cans that the design was actually, like, on the can, it wasn't a sticker. So I thought that meant they were doing well, like, they must be making a shit ton of money now that they're making their own cans. The menthol cigarettes, dude, you should just make your own menthol cigarettes and sell them and act like they're regular menthols. Because I don't think a lot of people know about that. I mean, like, I know I found that technique on Reddit, but, anytime I mention that to people, they're like, "What do you mean you just make your own menthols with menthol crystals?" Jeez, 15 packs of cigarettes for 30 bucks. Dude, 30 bucks here gets you, like, 2 packs of cigarettes. That's actually pretty crazy. I wonder what Japanese cigarettes are, like. I would imagine they're the same. At least I would think they are. Yeah, I wonder, do cigarettes change from, like, country to country? I know packaging does, but I would imagine the cigarettes themselves are the same. The packaging is just different. I always hated those packs from, like, Mexico with, like, the pictures of, like, lung cancer and, like, deformed fetuses on them and shit. Trying to tell you about the consequences of smoking. Like, dude, I don't wanna think about the consequences of this shit, like, while I'm smoking. I wonder how many people actually even smoke in Japan, though. Like, is smoking even, like, do a shit ton of Japanese people smoke cigarettes? Less chemical taste. I guess I could see that. It's probably how that is in every other country except for here. So I'm pretty sure we're the only country really that gets down with as many chemicals as we do. Smoking is way more normalized there. Okay. That's kind of what I thought was I bet you a lot of Japanese people are starting to vape. I heard the term anxiety stick. I think that's what it was for the first time today. I think that's what it was. Let me see. Yeah, anxiety stick. And it's a term that I guess some fucking nerds use for a vape. But if you Google anxiety stick, there's actually like a diffuser that you inhale, and that's just getting crazy. They're making way too much stuff to like smoke. Hey, what's up, Grimrock? How's uh how's busy life been? Yeah, if you look up anxiety stick, this is like the first thing that pops up. Vitamin B12 diffuser, which is just crazy, dude. Like, you see a lot of these now. Like, there's a brand that just does like flavored air. It's supposed to help you quit smoking. Dude, just fucking man up and smoke cigarettes. Fucking vitamin B12 diffuser. Like you're just smoking, just like smoking. Like if you're so addicted to the act of smoking, like you just have to put something in your mouth and suck it down and inhale it and blow some. Just smoke cigarettes. I don't care if vitamin B12. This shit's not good for you either. Like just fucking just take the plunge. Just go the extra couple steps. Be a real man and smoke cigarettes. This shit's so fucking lame. Anxiety sticks. And then you got like flavored air and shit. I do want to go to one of those flavored air bars. That sounds interesting. I'm sure they've got them in like hippy dippy places like San Francisco and shit. On a radio show, so coming in late tonight. Yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. Radio show. Did you do an interview or did you play? I did. My first real band, like back in high school. We did at the Davis radio station. We did a little thing. We did an interview on air, and then we played a live set on air. And that was like one of the most fun things I ever did in my life, especially since I was in high school. Because just like, oh, we're on fucking the radio. It was college radio, and this is like 2009, 2010. So it was right, right on the edge of radio being not fucking cool anymore. But I still thought it was awesome doing any kind of fucking radio show. Yeah, inspire brighter days by inhaling your B12, whatever the fuck this stuff said. Isn't vitamin B12 in I always thought vitamin B12 was kind of like useless filler. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure vitamin B12. I know there's like a mix of vitamins, but when you see people doing drugs in like Hollywood movies, like people snorting cocaine, they use like vitamin powder. Like I know on Wolf of Wall Street, who's the fat guy? Jonah Hill, I think. Jonah Hill said he snorted so much vitamin powder on the set of Wolf of Wall Street that he had to go to the hospital for it fucked up something in his lungs. Just even though it was just pure vitamin powder, just doing as much as he did during that time making the movie. Vitamin B12 is a water-soluble vitamin essential for various bodily functions, including DNA synthesis, nerve function. Okay, so yeah, it's fucking useless, whatever. So vitamin B12, they just put that in shit. If you want to suck on something and feel nothing, we'll give you some vitamin B12. College radio rocks. Yeah, college radio is the best. It's a Pittsburgh station pre-recorded. Have my music on. Okay, yeah, hell yeah. Right on, right on. Yeah, no, radio, dude, radio's awesome. College radio. I think people always forget that college radio is basically responsible for like Nirvana, back when like 1989 when Bleach came out. Real radio wasn't playing Bleach. It was the college stations that were playing Bleach. Hollywood uses fake cigarettes. I would assume that actors can smoke cigarettes if they want, though. I would think. I would hope so. Like if you were going to be in a movie and be like, hey, I know my character smokes cigarettes, but I also smoke, so I'm just going to smoke the cigarettes. Yeah, I always wonder what they use for certain kinds of drugs. In Rob Zombie's Lords of Salem, the main character Heidi, she smokes heroin in a scene, and it's straight up. You see her put some shit on the foil, and she's got a glass straw, which is pretty lucky. I never had a glass. I always used a pen. You just get a pen like this, except this pen you can't do it with. You want like the click pens. You gut it, you hollow it out, and you just use the plastic shell of the pen. But yeah, she actually smoked whatever she was smoking. I guess maybe it was also like some kind of vitamin B12 powder that they just put on the foil or something. And then obviously a lot of the movies that I watched since they're older, like I think it's Friday the 13th part 4. I think it's part 4. It's either part 4 or part 6, but I think it's 4. Now there's a character that smokes pot and he was a method actor, which is I could do like a whole rant on method actors, but he was a method actor, so he actually just smoked pot. So he was just actually smoking weed in the movie, like on set. But like I said, that was the 80s. I would imagine today, if you wanted to smoke weed on set, they probably wouldn't let you, unless you're like Brad Pitt. They'll just let you do whatever, you do whatever you want. Or if you're Christian Bale, of course, nobody wants to get yelled at. Yeah, talk about one of the. I always forget about that. The Christian Bale is responsible for one of the greatest videos of all time, like of all time. And there's not even video; it's just audio, just that classic audio of him yelling at that guy on set. I think he was just yelling at like some poor boom mic operator or something who just like happened to, or like a light guy or something. Yeah, it looks like the glory days of people saying that pot cures cancer and solves all your problems and brings your ex-girlfriend back to you. It seems like those days are over. You see a lot of people now saying that, pot's not. Sydney Sweeney is probably, if not the prettiest girl in the world today. I'd easily put her in the top 10, like easily, easily, easily. Uh, Probably top 5. I was gonna say I do have an idea for either a video or a stream. I wanna do a ranking pictures of Sydney Sweeney, just like you see all the pictures you see all over the place, like her kind of bending over the tennis, she's on a tennis court with the net in the middle. And then yeah, just like all the pictures you see of Sydney Sweeney all over the internet. I would like to do a ranking. Maybe we could either do like an S through F tier or S through D tier, whatever it is, or we could just do a straight up like up through 1, you know. Yeah, she's definitely top 5. Definitely top 5. Yeah, Fizz. I would assume. I think you've told me your daughter's of the age that would be someone that knows who Sydney Sweeney is. Yeah, any any teenager would know. Any preteen. Yeah, she's. The thing that's funny is I've never seen her in anything. I've never watched a show or a movie with Sydney Sweeney in it. But I don't need to for her to be like my favorite actress. I have seen her nude scenes in Euphoria, though. Of course. Of course, I've seen the nude scenes in Euphoria, but that's all I've ever seen. A top 10 list on her would rock. That is true. Yeah, we could do top 10 pictures. We could do top 10 pictures. We could do tier list. I'll think about it. It'd be cool to start off. It'd be a challenge to start off. Her eyes are too far apart. Um, it could be a lot worse. She looks like that's no way she. Oh no! Don't compare her to Rachel Zegler. Don't compare her to Rachel Zegler. First of all, the thing is, Rachel Zegler is the thing that sucks about Snow White is that Rachel Zegler is actually hot. If you like in anything else, somehow, some way, magically, Snow White, Disney made Rachel Zegler ugly. That's I saw a tweet about that the other day. They said as bad as Snow White was, the biggest crime that Snow White committed was convincing the world that Rachel Zegler's not a total babe. Dude, Rachel Zegler's hot. I don't know what the fuck they did in that movie to to ruin it. But yeah, the top 10 list, I was thinking the top 10 list would be awesome because, yeah, we could start off with like 20, 30 pictures and then have to start cutting, because a tier list, you get to put them all in there. But a top 10, you're making some hard decisions. This is the kind of stuff I would like to have if I was like an actual successful streamer and chat consisted of like at least like 20 to 50 people. It'd be more fun. Take in like votes. People vote on which pictures and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I'd be doing this just by myself because I'm not a successful streamer. Although somebody on TikTok did call me a Twitch streamer. It was funny, they meant it as an insult, but I I felt very, validated. I was like, "Oh, this is that. Oh, I know you mean that as an insult. You're insulting me telling me that I'm a Twitch streamer, but I take this as a compliment that somebody in the world views me as a Twitch streamer." They got, like, 9 subs on Twitch, maybe 8. And he's like, "Assholes." Yeah, except for those people that don't have assholes. Isn't that what Crohn's disease is? So, this might be the dumbest thing I ever say, so please correct me, but I was always under the impression that Crohn's disease was like you are born without an asshole, so the doctor has to artificially put one into you, and then that's just what causes lifelong problems with your digestive system and whatnot. Um, I would imagine I'm just ignorant, and it's just like a stomach issue. I know it's like general stomach issues, but yeah, for some reason, somewhere along the line, I fell under the impression that it meant that you were born without an asshole, and so the doctor had to artificially put one there, and then that's what's responsible for a lifelong struggle with your digestion. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. She is hot. They fucked her up in Snow White. I don't know what Disney did. I don't know what Disney did to make Rachel Zegler look not attractive, but they did something wrong. I have friends with Crohn's. I think I have a friend with Crohn's too. I think it's Crohn's. I just, I didn't ask him about it. That's an extreme case. Okay, so there is an extreme case that does involve being born. I knew there was something because I've heard something somewhere about somebody being born or people being born without assholes, and the doctors kind of have to go in there and, you know, they got to pull out the drill. They got to pull out the drill bit. They got to ask the mom, what gauge, what size do you want your child's exit to be? And if you end up losing your bowels, they sew your asshole and give you oh my god, dude, imagine a colostomy bag. Imagine having to have a fucking bag. All this stuff that happens when you get older, I don't wanna do. Like, I'm not getting my prostate examined. I'm not doing that. I'm just not. I'll die. I will die of cancer happily. I will die happily in my own room before I take the doctor finger. I just don't. Or, they gotta do stuff, they give you shots, like, in the spine. You ever hear about that stuff? Or when they have to collect bone marrow to do a test? I'm not doing that. I'll just die. Dude, there are so many things I hear about doctors doing, like, in later years of life where I'm like, I'd rather just die. I'll just die. It can't be that bad. There's no way. There's no way dying is that bad that you're gonna there's no way dying's that bad that you're gonna convince me to stick a fucking needle in my spine or even stick a finger up my ass. Shit in a bag and have UPS. Dude, UPS is like I always wonder how many drugs get sent through the mail every day. I mean, it's obviously, I'd say hundreds of thousands of dollars worth. Guys with colostomy bags. I think it was, that girl on Fox News that's actually hot? Her name's like Cat. It's like Cat something. What the fuck is her name? Cat Timpf. Like the strangest last name of all time. Cat Timpf, who's on Fox News. I've seen her make jokes about it. I guess she had some kind of surgery one time. She had some kind of condition, and she had to have I think she had a colostomy bag for a while. And she, obviously cracked a lot of jokes about it. I think she's like a comedian or whatever. But that is another thing. I do think Cat Timpf is hot, and I really can't explain why. That she's one of those girls that you really can't explain why you think she's attractive. She just is to me. Yeah, the colostomy bag sounds terrible. That's just one of those things I won't do. Like I'll just die. Like you're gonna tell me like, hey, to save your life, we're gonna give you this bag. You're gonna, this is no, I'll just die. I'll go home. It's all good. Yeah, I love the jokes when you see like when you're on Twitter and you see people having the transgender argument. People always bringing up, oh well, she's gonna have to get her prostate exam when she's 50. I always think that's hilarious. I love good old classic humor like that. If you're saying your birthday was 10 days ago, then happy 10-day late birthday, Fizz. But no, no shame. I'm still not even completely sure. Like, is a prostate just a thing in your, in the backside of you? Yeah, no, I'm not exactly too. Yeah, I don't know what a prostate really is. All I know is when a doctor examines it, I want no part of it. That's all I really know. I know that it gets cancer, and I know that a doctor checking it out is something that I'm not going to do. That's all I know about it. That's all I care to know about it. There's a lot of things when it comes to like bodily health that I'm like not too interested in learning about. Say they can test for this stuff from blood tests. Okay, so they can do blood tests now. Dying of cancer is way worse than a finger up the butt. Uh, Obviously I'm joking, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know. The thing is, I'll never diss anybody. Like, dude, gay people are cool. I don't care if people enjoy a finger up the butt. That's not my thing. My thing is just that I'm like probably weirdly scared of a finger. And they got the rubber glove on. The rubber glove makes it sound even worse for some reason. But Angela's apple. I know that I so my joke always nowadays is that I'll die of cancer because I did heroin withdrawals. That's always like my big thing. Once you go through heroin withdrawals, you feel like you can take on anything. So I will sit here and jokingly say that I could beat cancer no problem. Like in my bed, I could lock in for like a month and I'd be fine. Realistically, obviously not. I would obviously fucking die. But I think yeah, for some reason, hold on, I'm losing track of these comments now. For some reason, a naked finger sounds better to me than a rubber gloved finger. I don't know if that makes sense. I also have a weird theory about prostate is a gland in the male reproductive system that produces seminal fluid. Oh, it produces seminal fluid, rich a fluid rich in minerals, proteins, and enzymes that nourishes and protects sperm. Okay, see, now I'm confused. Yeah, I had no idea that a prostate had anything to do with your fluids. In front of the rectum surrounds the urethra during sexual arousal. The prostate's muscles force the fluid into the urethra. And this is a very educational stream we got going on, where it mixes with some other fluids to form semen. I used to always joke and say, just because I let like girls stick her finger in my ass when fuck doesn't make me gay. I think there are people nowadays that would make that argument. I guess I'm not the guy to say it. I'm not the guy to tell anybody what they are. I just know that I don't think I don't think it sounds like a good time at all. Um yeah, so for some reason I feel like a naked finger. I don't know. It's warm. I think that's my only justification. My other weird theory is that if anything was gonna have to go up there, I think something like if it's a pen versus something with like a little more girth to it, no pun intended. I almost think the thing a little bigger because this seems like pointy and sharp. You know what I mean? Whereas something might fit. It's like a weird argument that I would think like maybe something bigger than like a pen. I think most people think, oh, I could do a pen. No, I think you could do a pen, but I think this thing's gonna be fucking pointy and sharp. They made the blood test alternative for a reason. Yeah, I would say they probably did make the blood test for They probably did make the blood test for, you know, I would imagine, honestly, one, I'm sure just medical science advanced to the point where they could do it with the blood test, but I would bet you, I guarantee you, there have been men in the world that refuse to do the finger and they die. I guarantee you, there are stubborn dudes in the world who, probably died of prostate cancer, just being like, I'm not doing that shit. So yeah, I bet you they were like, okay, we got to find another way to test for this shit because you know, people are dying. I'm not saying millions at all, but I'm sure there are a handful of men out there who have died, who have chosen to just die. I refuse to send this shit back, so that's the package. Jesus Christ, 28. Dude, the weirdest thing about when people die young like that, especially a fucking cancer, that's terrible. The weirdest thing to me about this, Lee, I mean, not weirdest, but like worst thing is once you become older, then, and it's like now I'm older than this. I don't know. To me, it's like weird. I don't like thinking about people that died young, like, it's just weird, especially cancer. I've known people that have obviously overdosed and shit, but I don't think I've known anyone who's died of cancer like in their 20s. That's, yeah, that's like that shit that's just not supposed to happen. People, especially in their 20s and fucking cancer. That's that terrible luck of the draw shit too, for sure. Every day you see some lady who lives to be like 102 smoking cigarettes every day. And then, someone has a brother and a friend who dies of cancer at 28. It's it's a shit world. Not a fan of, not a fan of stuff. Okay, so you're mailing a shit bag. I worked with a girl, a waitress. My first job as a restaurant. The waitress was her side gig, but she was also she collected stool samples. She was like a nurse or something, and she worked with. I don't even think she collected the samples. I think she was like actually like a scientist. Like I think she was actually in the lab with the shit, like doing the stuff. If we're gonna play with the ass, use a glove. Well, I mean, to me, the rubber, like I would assume the doctor is gonna lube this thing, but to me, just either way, the rubber, that's what's getting to me. The rubber seems harsh, you know. But then the doctor lubing up his finger also weirds me out because that just yeah, man, this is a terrible topic. We've been on this topic for like 20 minutes now, so I'm about to book in for that shit. Oh, geez, I'm like super far behind on your guys' comments. This is how terrible I am at doing this. I honestly, I stress about the idea of being like an actual successful streamer. And like, those people where the comments are just constantly, I would imagine you just have to pick one out every once in a while and go with it. But the idea of that just stresses me out. If you got a female doctor, that's the thing is, I wouldn't want a female doctor either. If I had to get the finger up there, I would prefer a male doctor just because what if you get a hot female doctor, That also sounds weird. Like you would think that I'd prefer the female doctor, but no, actually, I would prefer the male doctor because I'd feel like there's not much to like. I'd feel better. Like, let's say I didn't shower that day. If it's a dude doctor, I don't care. I won't shower, you know. But if it's a female doctor, I'm gonna feel like I gotta bring in my best. I gotta dress nice. I gotta shower. Did you end up storing the shit in the freezer? I feel very like insecure about people seeing my shit, except for that one time my ex girlfriend had to help me plunge the toilet at our dealer's house. That was one of the most vulnerable moments of my life. We'd been together for like 4 years at that point too. We were just like sitting around, and I went to the bathroom, and then I came back out and was like, "Dude, I can't get the toilet to flush." And she just got up and was like, "I'll do it." And I'm like, "No, you can't do it." She's like, "Why?" I'm like, "Dude, my shit's in there." And she was like, "Dude, I've been with you for 4 years." I was like, "Okay, but you've never looked at you never, seen that." Yeah, I don't like the idea of people seeing my shit. I guess in Germany, they have, like, shelf toilets. They're called something like it's you shit onto, like, a dry there's, like, a dry platform in the toilet, and then once you flush it, it opens up more, or, that's when the water comes and takes it down or something, and to me, that also sounds terrible, just, like, sitting over your dry shit. I didn't do it because they exiled me for smoking cigarettes. Rubber is the best bit. Yeah, I would imagine, honestly, I've got it all backwards, like, I'm the one that's like, "No rubber," but it's like, dude, yes, of course you want a fucking rubber glove. I dated a girl in high school. She had to go to the emergency room one time when we were dating, and she said the doctor stuck a finger up there to test something, but it was kind of like in a kind of an emergency situation, but the doctor didn't have a glove on, and, she said it was, like, super weird, and she's like, "I don't think the emergency was, like, that big of a deal that he needed to, like, rush his finger in there," and, we were in high school, though. I don't wanna say we kinda just, like, brushed right by it, honestly, like, she complained about it for a day, and then it was, we were fighting about me talking to some other girl within, a couple hours. But yeah, that was a weird thing. Oh, dude, yeah, cigarette smokers are straight up discriminated against nowadays. This is, you know what? This is the community I'm gonna start. Everybody's got their own community now. You have like fat people have conventions, you've got pride festivals. We need to get a community going for the cigarette smokers of the world. Cigarette smokers have been discriminated against for years at this point. Weed smokers are put up on this pedestal when they're the most retarded people in the world. Cigarette smokers are the backbone of society. They are they are the blood of this country, and even the world, I would venture to say. The most intelligent men of all time are cigarette smokers. The most talented men of all time are cigarette smokers. The greatest artists of all time are cigarette smokers. And I think it's time that cigarette smokers not only demand, but earn and receive the respect that they deserve. So that's gonna be a new thing we're gonna do here. We're gonna somehow, I don't know, maybe I'll start a Facebook group or something. There'll be like 4 people in it, but that'll be a start. Yeah, no, honestly, mods. It's funny. Mods. Fizz. I'd probably make you be a mod. Proto Max. I'd probably make you be a mod. It'd probably be you too. Just because I think you guys are the Protomax is obviously the most consistent. Francis is also very consistent, but sometimes, and it wouldn't be like you have to be here every day. Sure, I'd probably fucking pay you guys. Probably just like Venmo you guys money every time you showed up to a stream and did mod jobs for me. An old lady doctor would be good if I had to take a finger up the butt at the hottest female dentist once. Oh no. How'd that help you get over your fear of dentistry? Dude, Lee, I have a traumatic story. I had a job for a while and I had really good dental insurance through this job. So I got to go to this really nice dentist office. And the dental assistant was this really pretty girl. Like I had a huge crush on this girl, but she was the dental assistant. So she was the one that was sucking the spit out of my mouth when the dentist. First of all, I've got bad teeth from years of doing drugs. So that was embarrassing enough that she was going to see my teeth. I mean, my teeth aren't terrible. They're presentable. Like I can sit here with my teeth and I'm not. But once you get to the back, I've got the teeth of somebody who's done drugs for a few years. But yeah, so this very attractive girl had to sit there and suck spit out of my mouth. I had such a crush on her that I remember, the last time I went there, this is one of the big bummers of my life. The last time I went to that dentist office, before the dentist came in, it was just me and this pretty girl dental assistant talking. And she asked me, I think it was right before the weekend or something. And she's like, "Oh, what are you doing this weekend?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing. What about you?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm going to be studying," because she had some big test coming up in school or something. She was still like in dental school or whatever. And I was excited because I thought this is going to be great. The next time I come back in a couple months, I'm gonna ask her how that test went, and then she's gonna be like, "Oh, he remembered," and now she's gonna fall in love with me because I remembered her test. But I never got to go back. Um, I think I got a new job before I got to go back, and so I lost the dental insurance that I had. But that is one of the great bummers of my life now is that I missed out on this pretty dental assistant that I really wanted to talk. Dude, I was real excited. I was like, dude, this is gonna be awesome. I'm straight up gonna walk in here and ask her how her test went. Like I had it all planned out. You pull that shit out of the freezer. Yeah, no, me and the 5 year long girlfriend, Calamity Jane, we got real comfortable. I was definitely in the bathroom one time when and I didn't care. I joke and say that I do care, but realistically, if I've been with you long enough, obviously, if we're on like a first date, I prefer to not be in the bathroom while you're shitting. But if we've been together long enough, it's no big deal. Cole, I'm just now getting to this. I've been low. The doctor putting his raw finger in your girlfriend's ass at 100%. Yeah, yeah, no, of course. That's what I was saying was that it was a weird. It was like we both knew something was wrong. But like I said, we were just young enough to be like, oh, well, okay. These smokers are not all the most retarded, but I agree that society made smokers and then abandoned them. Hell, geeks now smell of BO and farts. Like that's any improvement. Yeah, that's the thing about cigarettes, though, dude. Cigarettes are like incense. Sometimes you just want to light a cigarette and just let it, stick it in an incense holder in your car. I used to do that. We had a buddy lived in a friend of mine lived in a house. That's a stupid way to start, but he had a house and he used to smoke pot in the house all the time. And his roommate, he had the GameCube in his room. So whenever we played Super Smash Brothers Melee, we'd go in his room when he was at work and we'd smoke pot. But he didn't want his room smelling like that. So to get rid of the pot smell in his room, we would just start smoking cigarettes in his room. So his roommate would get home and be like, "Dude, my room smells like pot and cigarette smoke. What are you guys doing?" And we thought we were super clever for smoking cigarettes to get rid of the weed smell in his room. But I do like you as a human. Happy to attend. Oh yeah, dude. No, if I ever get to mod status, if we ever reach mod status, yeah, dude, I would make you mod and I'd Venmo you money. I'd Venmo you money. That's the thing I always want to do. I want to become like a successful streamer and then pay a bunch of people to do like dumb shit, but like is helpful, not like employ people. I'm not trying to sound all like big and full of myself. Like I want to employ people, but like yeah, if someone was a mod for like an hour, or even be like, I don't know, here's like, depending on how much money I'm actually making, you know, if I'm like a real deal successful streamer, like yeah, here's $100, dude. Like you fucking dealt with chat for like an hour and shit. I love talking about crush talk. Here we go. Let's keep it going. I had a crush on all the orthodontist assistants when I was a kid. Disliked that my orthodontist disliked that I was liked by the female employees. So your orthodontist was jealous. That's what it sounds like. Your orthodontist had a crush on you, even though you were a kid. I do see that. I do see that little part in there. Oh, it was a dude. So he'd ratchet up my braces. Oh, so the dude was jealous of you. Oh, but you were a kid. So the girls when when you're a kid, of course all the female dentists like you, but it's like they think you're a cute kid. That's weird that your male orthodontist was like genuinely jealous of a kid getting attention from girls. Like, yeah, of course girls like kids. You know what's funny is the dentist I have now, it's basically his balls pretty much are just on my head. It's like the same scenario where, he's got me laying back. I'll feel I'm sure realistically it's like his stomach or his thigh. I mean, it's probably just his dick. Probably just rubbing his dick on the top of my head. That's what I get for having bad teeth, though. That's my fault. If you want to avoid your dentist rubbing his balls on your head, brush your teeth better. Chocolate, yeah, chocolate will do it. Lee, there's got to be a joke in there. Um, just you living in the UK and having bad teeth. There's got to be some kind of Austin Powers joke that I can make. I just can't think of a good one off the top of my head. But just know that I am thinking if I was a better comedian or a comedian at all, I'd be making a joke about you being from the UK and having bad teeth. That's exactly where I'd be going with this right now. Yeah, definitely. That orthodontist was definitely a PDF file for sure. If he's jealous of a kid for getting attention from the ladies, the sign of a real relationship. So we were only together for like 2 or 3 months before we went on a road trip up to Seattle. And the first night we stayed in a hotel room was in Portland. We drove up, we made it to Ashland, and then we kept driving and we made it to Portland. And we were sitting in the motel room in Portland. We were watching Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. That was like one of our shows. And we were just sitting there, and I just out of nowhere said, "Hey, you realize we're gonna be together like in a car and in motel rooms for like a week straight?" She was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "So one of us is gonna shit first. Like one of us is gonna have to go to the bathroom." And she was like, "Oh, yeah, huh?" And she was like very confident that it was gonna be me. It was her. I made it. She literally were watching. It was later that night. We were watching Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, and she went to the bathroom and she turned the shower on for like 2 minutes, and then she turned the shower off. I was like, okay, cool. I won this one. So after that, it was all Once the girl goes, it's you're in the clear because it's the girl who is usually going to be the more less likely to go even around you. I remember for the first couple of months when we dated, though, whenever I'd go to her mom's house to spend the night, I'd have to shit at like, sometimes I'd shit at like midnight or like 1 in the morning. And there was no fan in the hall bathroom. I think I've told this on stream before. Of course, they had a bathroom with no fan. So I'd go in the bathroom and I would turn the sink on and I would listen to Lee will love this. I would put on Nirvana on my phone. I remember listening to In Utero on my phone, sitting on the toilet in the hall bathroom at my girlfriend's mom's house at 2 in the morning with the sink running and just like Milk It by Nirvana on my phone, just play. Like just drawing way more attention to myself than I needed to in the first place. But that's how I dealt with it. That's what I thought was going to be the appropriate thing to do. Randy Orton used to bum cigs off the fans. Where did you read that? The thing is, I believe it. I'm asking where you read it because I'm curious, but I believe it, dude. Randy Orton, when he was young, Randy Orton was a fucking menace. Young Randy Orton is like somebody we should all look up to. Dude, the Nag Champa. I don't know how you pronounce it. We always called it Nag Champa. That brings back memories. I haven't read that fucking word. I've not read those 2 words in a long time. I remember we used to get incense from the smoke shop, and then one time my buddy came through and was like, "Dude, I got this shit." And he pulled out the fucking Nag Champa. Holy shit, I'm gonna look up a picture of Nag Champa, like the packaging, because it came in like a very specific packaging. Oh my god, I'm gonna buy some fucking Nag Champa. Yeah, I got it pulled up on Amazon. I'm buying this shit. I'm so glad you just fucking mentioned this shit. Witnessed it at Arco Arena. That's awesome. That's a good memory to have. You go to a wrestling show, you see young Randy Orton just bumming cigs off of fans in the crowd. Just fucking ripping cigarettes. Yeah, Arco Arena was awesome. Arco Arena was awesome. Pack of Nog Champa. I'm gonna join you, man. I'm gonna get myself a pack of Nog Champa too. I'll probably barely even use them these days, honestly, but dick owners, I say the joke about the difference of healthcare. Oh, that's actually awesome. Yeah, honestly, your country has to be honestly, your country beats mine. In the UK, if you have bad teeth, you get tits on your head, and over here, if you get bad teeth, you get dick rubbed all over your head. Oh, that's awesome. That is fucking hilarious. One of my buddies, my old friend Laban, I remember one time Laban, dropped his balls on my head. I was just sitting on his computer in his house, and, like, very silently, because he was showering, and, I was on the computer, and everyone else was sitting behind me on the couch, so they all saw this coming, and I just didn't see it or hear it coming. I was just sitting like this on the computer, and behind me, without me hearing, he'd set up a chair and stood up on top of the chair, and then, like, straight on top of my head. And at first, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was, like, I don't know, one of my friends, like, touching my head or doing, like, a guess who thing, and once I kinda moved a little bit and felt, like, legs behind me, I was like, "Oh, fuck." Weird story about incense. I used to have a cat, and she ran away the day of 9/11. Am I missing a joke? Am I, like, bad at picking up on jokes or something? What do you mean? A weird story about incense. I'm sure you'll make fun of me for not getting something. That's fine, I'll move on. You can, because I just sat there for, like, 10 seconds. I remember at the old job, we're complaining about it, my boss was like, "What's that smell?" I've never really shit at work, any jobs. I mean, I have, obviously. I'm really good at, like, it's my body, obviously. My body is pretty good at not having to go until I'm at home or, like, in a, position to do it comfortably. Like, if I have to go and it's not in my own bathroom, it's a fucking emergency. Shitting in truck stops is the worst, though. I can tell you that much. Also, when you have to shitting in a truck stop, and then when you have to water out your pen, which, of course, nobody will get this. When you smoke heroin, you smoke it like a plastic pen. It the resin from the smoke builds up in the pen, and so one day, like, you're sick, your dealer's not responding. Oh, but my pen is caked full of resin. So what you do is you get a tiny little bit of hot water in the pen. You cover up both ends and you shake it. So you got like a pen in between your two fingers and you shake it. The little bit of hot water and the resin cleans off into the water, and then you drip the little bit of water onto the foil, and then what you have is like brown fucking water, and you smoke that. So yeah, the worst is shitting in a truck stop bathroom, and then when you have to get hot water out of the sink in your pen in a truck stop bathroom. And luckily enough, it's like such an obscure thing to be doing. Like you're like holding a hollowed out pen underneath. You got a really low stream of water going. So I just did it in the there's like people walking right by me, like watching, but they just thought I was probably some fucking weirdo. Like, what's this guy filling up a pen for? Actually, they were truckers. I'm sure they knew exactly what I was doing, but I don't trust the water out of sinks, out of truck stops. Is there a new Sacramento Zoo? You don't want to overuse Nog Champa, and also make sure you have a compressed air can because the smoke will solidify on fan blades of PCs. Oh, no way. Like if you have it too close to the PC? Or like what if it's like across the room from your PC? Yeah, please back to the cat story. The cat knew something. Yeah, the cat was going out to stop these plans. The cat was going out to stop the planes. That's what I would guess. She ran away, we went out to dinner, left a white candle burning on the deck because it was The light a white candle night for remembrance. The candle was scented and I had used for at least 2 months. I lit the candle, put it outside, and when we came home and started walking up the stairs, the cat jumped out of a bush to get back inside. So the cat was gone like all day and then came back. Don't cats do that though, right? I guess I don't know the cat though. You could be talking about a cat that didn't usually go outside like that. One time on a road trip and pulled up to a gas station. Right as I opened the door, there's fucking shit everywhere. Disgusting. Yeah, gas station and truck stop bathrooms are just like a special kind of gnarly. Truckers use toothpicks dipped in meth to stay up. That's like the least of what truck stops do or truckers do. I think that's like mild compared to some things I think truckers do. I had an old friend. Um, I think it was his dad who was a trucker. And he's like, yeah, dude, truckers are, they meet up at truck stops and they trade drugs and shit. They're wild. Right on, Lee. Yeah, thanks for coming by, dude. You don't have to hang out till 3 a.m. But I do appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. I gotta message you back still. I still have an unresponded message. For other people here, I'm probably gonna have Lee back on sometime soon. We're gonna do another jam session on the stream like we did last time. Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks for coming by. Good to talk to you. Cole, big girl work apparently can't fit her whole ass on the toilet and leaves shit smeared on the seat. She was publicly called out. That's awesome. I'm glad someone called her out because I do wonder there are people that you see that are so big that you wonder how do they fit on. I remember being a little kid and thinking this, like, you know what I mean? Like your asshole has to be the size of the toilet hole opening. It's like kind of the impression in my head. One of the story was okay, inside okay, and it was for a few days. Okay. I figured you were talking about an inside cat, and I mistook it as one day, like you were saying, the cat took off in the morning and came back at night. A few days, that's actually, I think that's crazy for a cat to be gone for a few days, especially an indoor cat. I think cats are a lot smarter, even indoor cats. I do think they're probably a bit more clever than we give them credit for when they get outside, but to be gone for a few days is definitely wild. And yeah, it probably was the smell, especially if the cat was just used to smelling it all the time. Yeah, I would imagine having that's actually probably a smart thing to do. Like if you have an indoor pet, light one specific kind of candle, or have some kind of scent just in case they ever get out. And then if they ever get out, you can put the candle like on the front porch or something. Yeah, that's actually kind of clever. Well, damn, now if I ever get a dog or a cat, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna like force the cat or the dog or cat to hang out with me in my room while I light one specific candle. Like, dude, this is for your own good. Uh, dude, if I ever lost, like, really, if I ever for some reason couldn't stream anymore, I'd probably start thinking about becoming a trucker because that was always my thing too. I was like, if I become an adult and I'm not married and I have no kids and no family, I'll just become a trucker. And here I am, 31 with no kids and no family and no wife. So yeah, I might as well become a trucker. I couldn't stream though. That's the only issue. Maybe I'll stream for like another year, and if I'm still unsuccessful, I'll just become a trucker, and then I'll quit doing this bullshit. The thing about being a trucker is that I'm really bad at driving in like unfamiliar territory. You know, like I could drive a semi truck in my town for sure, but once you get me in, like, especially in, like, sometimes you see truckers, they get, like, lost in the middle of town, like, not even just on the freeway. So I'd be very worried about, how I might drive in a in a in an unfamiliar area. I could stream as a trucker, and I could be one of those guys that makes that my thing. Like, I could become, like, one of the trucker, one of those people that turns their occupation into their, like, online character, which sometimes is cool, sometimes is lame. I like, my buddy Trey obviously does that. He's the iron worker. So he's got the whole he says the most successful stuff on his channel is stuff from work. His iron worker, a lot of union members follow him and they all talk in comments and shit. I just like the idea of living on the road. I always wanted to like get with a girl and get like an RV or even a fucking minivan, dude. I lived in a fucking car before. Like I'll live on nothing. I really don't care about all that. But yeah, I always wanted to, obviously if I'm a trucker, I don't have a girl with me. Yeah, unless I pick up a lot lizard. Fucking truck stop bunny. The thing that sucks is I don't think there are attractive lot lizards. I don't think they exist. You're banging out like Eileen Warnos if you're looking for lot lizards. Like that's all you're getting. You're getting fucking Eileen Warnos, who is like potentially one of the most unattractive women of all time. Like that's what you're pulling if you're a trucker. But you know what though? It's not like I've pulled anything the last fucking year of my life. Why not? Yeah, just become a trucker and start banging out girls like Eileen Warnos. You guys have any opinions on Eileen Warnos? Like her whole thing is the debate with her is did she kill in self-defense or did she kill, maliciously? I've got a theory that I think is kind of interesting. Dude, groupies are the only reason, like, not the only reason. Groupies are like 50% of the reason I'm doing this. I go on Instagram, I see all these really attractive, popular internet girls. I want one. So what do? I should become an internet guy. If I become a successful internet guy, I can get myself a bodacious 25-year-old, some LA girl, dude. There's like, if you look at the people I follow on the Disco Acid Cult TV Instagram, you can see all the girls that I follow from that page. Like it's actually kind of funny. Now, let's see, just today I followed a girl named Chloe. Chloe? She got 37,000 followers. Let's see, just a few days ago I followed a girl named Amelia from Houston, Texas. 21,000 followers. So that's the thing too, is I got my sights set on like realistic. Like she got 21,000 followers. She's not fucking famous, But if I had like 50K subs on YouTube, I could reasonably hit her up. Be like, hey, I'm an obscure internet personality. But as of right now, I gotta work my way up there. As she was an abused woman that had a large frame and the physical ability and mental capability to be violent. Give anyone a large frame and propensity for violence and look over. So what I think happened with her, yeah, you're pretty much that she was an abused woman. What I think happened with her is I believe that the first dude that she shot and killed, I totally believe that that man was trying to assault her. I believe that this guy picked her up, she was going to turn trick. And then this guy tried to do some crazy shit, maybe tried to rape her, maybe even tried to kill her. And so she shoots him and kills him. I think once she shoots that first guy, I think the switch flips in her head. So now she continues on with her life. She's a prostitute. Let's say the next guy picks her up. Now Eileen Warnos, the switch that flipped, I think what happened is two things. I think one, I think she became more fearful and paranoid. Now she's incredibly scared that any guy who even flinches the wrong way is going to rape her or kill her. And two, I think she liked it. I think she probably liked it because, like you said, she'd been an abused woman her whole life. Now she gets a taste of what it's like to kill a man. She's whooping ass. She's taking names now. So I think the rest of the guys she killed, I bet you she just got in their truck and they just flinched the wrong way. They moved a hand just the wrong way, and she just fucking pulled the trigger. Like, she was looking for any excuse. Like I said, I'm sure she was scared. She's paranoid. She's like a scared rabbit at this point who's out being a prostitute for truckers. But I do think she liked it. I do think, so I think both people are right. You can get into some crazy debates with chicks on the internet if you over like girls love Eileen Warnos. Um, one of my best memes that I made on the original Disco Acid cult page was, all those posts where it'll say like men will see this and just think hell yeah, and it's like a picture of a Bud Light or a picture of Evil Knievel on his bike. Well, I did one with Eileen Warnos, and I said women will see this and think hell yeah, and dude, girls went fucking crazy for that shit. Yeah, girls love Eileen Warnos. They think she's like this fucking, she's like whooping men's asses and shit. Which I mean, I guess she was, but she's over 100K, sent her on her way. Yeah, pretty much. Just to be realistic, I'm looking for girls with like 20 to 50,000 followers. Of course, if I ever hit 1 million subscribers, I'm hitting up like Sydney Sweeney and Jenna Ortega and shit. But I never plan on hitting 1 million. I mean, right now my only goal is to hit 10,000, and I'm not even at 1,000. So I guess I'm in no position to be setting any kind of high up goals. But after number two, oh, this is getting way easier. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. She develops a taste for blood. She starts liking it more and more. Like I said, I don't want to take away from the fact that she probably was scared and paranoid. She's obviously smoking meth. That's not helping. But yeah, I'm sure she did get, fucked around by a lot of dudes. And I mean, yeah, she was a fucking hooker, of course. So it's she's one of the few out of the serial killers, the popular ones that, I feel a little bit of you feel a little bit of sympathy for. You feel a little bit of you feel a little bad for her. You don't condone. Of course, she deserved to go to prison. She deserved what she got. It's a sad life. Her life was like a sad, wasted life. A lot of. Her interviews are crazy, dude. She used to just say some crazy shit, talking about like the end of the world and how like Jesus is gonna come back and one of those. She was one of those. I think listen and we don't judge. It's not even possible for humans not to judge. It's not even possible. I know you're saying that it's in quotes, but what's up with your brother and your son is actually your nephew? Oh god. Did you guys see that story? There's a story going around on Twitter where I guess this guy came home and found his wife banging his son, which her stepson is like a 15-year-old kid. And that's probably like the worst situation I've ever heard of. Like a dude with a 15-year-old son marries a lady and then comes home and finds the lady banging his 15-year-old son. I think she was like a doctor too, and she like lost her license. Of course, I didn't bookmark the story. I didn't save it, but it's been going around on Twitter. Twitter's been letting me down. Okay, cool. So you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, it seems like there's been a lot of weird stories lately about, especially teachers. I've seen a lot of stories of teachers, like female teachers banging like young, teenage boys. I know a guy who knows a dude whose mom walked in on him banging the family dog. Oh my god. Dude, when you get to, like, animals, that's like a whole different level of, it's like a whole different level of, like, there's, like, not even words I can think of to describe a dude that does shit to, like, animals. It's just fucking weird. Yeah, yeah, the teachers. The female teachers banging teenage students. You know, as much as the I do think the blame needs to go both to both people. It seems like we put all of the blame. I need to find a way to say this without it sounding wrong. It's gonna take a few sentences for me to say the whole thing, I think. But publicly outed in the 80s for being a creep. I think he ended up dying in jail. I imagine it was easy to get away with, or easier to get away with, everything before the internet was easier to get away with being a creep. The teachers, the female teachers banging teenage boys. Uh, the way that I put it is, if I was a father, if I had like a 15-year-old son and he banged his teacher, um, I would do everything I could to make sure the teacher gets put in prison, right? I'd do all that, but I would also come home and whoop my son's ass. I think we have this, like, our country has this weird habit of, like, acting like teenagers are just completely fucking uselessly retarded. It's like, bro, when I was 15, I knew that I'm not supposed to bang out my teacher. Like, that's like, I'm 15. Like, you have common sense. You're like a sentient, intelligent human being. You know right from wrong. But whenever an adult teacher bangs a teenager, they act like the teenager just was just completely held down, had no say. It's all the teacher's fault. And like I said, it is the teacher's fault. The teacher needs to, lose their job and go to prison. And if it's a male teacher, and I'm the father, I might be coming after this teacher. I'm not saying anything about letting the teacher off the hook, but I hope the parents keep their teenagers on the hook. You know what I mean? Two hot teachers in high school. Two, I can only think of Miss Walsh. We had an English teacher named Miss Walsh, and I think everyone thought she was hot. And I didn't think she was a total babe, but I think she was just like the prettiest teacher we had. A second though, I don't really know. I can't think of a second one off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure there's a girl in our class that might have done something with a dude teacher, actually. You know, I obviously don't want to out anybody, but I'm pretty sure she ended up banging a dude who owns a business in town too later on. I don't know if that's gonna spark anything in your head. I think that's like the most I can say without saying any names. But what's funny is that I had a crush on this girl. So I remember being bummed out hearing about how she was banging adults, and like here I am, here I am trying to make her laugh in history class, but she's out banging teachers and shit. A few teachers that were hot, but none of them were fucking super hot. You know what's funny is I was gonna guess Miss DeWeese. I was gonna guess that. For teacher standards, yes, I would say yes, absolutely. If it was just like I'm at a bar and I'm gonna approach one of the girls at the bar, probably not. But for teacher standards, yes, I will give you that one. I will give you Miss Walsh and Miss DeWeese. They were the two. Yeah, Fizz. Man, we're talking Dixon. You guys grew up in Cali. Yeah, but Fizz, Dixon's not like real Cali. I mean, yeah, you know that as well as we do. You're local. Dixon's not like real California. I always have to explain that to people that I talk to online. Like whenever I meet people on the Disco Acid page and they're like, "Oh, where do you live?" I always have to say I live in California, but I live in a part of California where we drive around the back roads for entertainment. Like that's our fun. I don't, we don't live in Los Angeles. Yeah, Pronomax, you definitely know who we're talking about. Group an MD and had at least 4. You're talking about 4 hot teachers. You're like in the Midwest though. Dude, the Midwest probably has the Midwest is MD. What fucking state is MD? I feel stupid now. Uh Maryland. That's not the Midwest. You're on the East Coast. Dude, I feel like the East Coast is probably very underrated. There's probably a lot of hot girls living in nice little small towns in Maryland and shit. Yeah, I remember that scandal. The thing is funny when you say the scandal, there's 2 girls. Like there was a girl, like I think a grade or 2 above us who like objectively, like it was well known. I'm pretty sure the teacher like fled, like went to Mexico or some shit. And then so when you say scandal, I think that's what you're thinking of. I'm talking about like just rumors. Like this girl, I never don't think got in trouble for it. It was just like rumors around the area that she did. And then yeah, she went on to bang a dude that owns a business in downtown. Damn, was Miss DeWeese like an absolute fucking babe? And I just am thinking wrong. Yeah, exactly. Dixon's not real Cali. Yeah, just like Sacramento isn't real. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Real California, is basically Los Angeles, San Francisco. We're pretty close to San Francisco, but from Dixon to San Francisco is like a totally different world. And my high school are kind of rife with claims of. Maybe that's like an East Coast thing too. Like I just said, the East Coast is probably underrated on how many attractive girls there are there, but maybe that's underrated with how many the buds. Okay, yeah, yep, you know exactly what I'm talking about. See, this is the best part about the stream being unsuccessful right now is that nobody watches this shit, so we can talk about this stuff. Like I said, lightweight, no names, but yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, cool. I always joke that once I hit 10,000 subs, though, I'm gonna go full ego and like I'll just start doing names all over the place. Like I won't care anymore. So like if right now the channel was at like 11,000 subscribers, like I'd just be out in names like fucking nobody's business. It feels pathetic to do it when I have no subscribers. Like I'm like as of right now, I'm a loser on the internet, right? I don't even have 1,000 subscribers. Like I'm textbook definition of a loser on YouTube. So it would feel kind of desperate and pathetic if I was sitting here talking about names. Let's say somebody did find one of my videos and they're like, oh, he's got 500 subscribers saying my name. But if I have 10K subs, it doesn't feel desperate and pathetic. It feels like I'm just being the fucking, like I said, I'm just locked in. I'm going full ego. I don't give a fuck what I say. Oh, you're mad that I said your name on a stream. I don't care. Talk to one of my 11,000 subscribers, you know? False allegations should be punished the same way as if the allegations were real, I believe. Is that the correct way to word it? If I falsely accuse somebody of assaulting me and they find out that I'm lying, I should be given the assault charge. Is kind of what I think of it. Maybe there's some nuance there. Maybe I don't get a straight up assault charge, but people who do like false accusations like that, because there's definitely that shit goes on. I know everybody likes to say it doesn't. Believe all women. No, don't believe all of anybody. Don't believe all women. Don't believe all men. Don't believe all white dudes, black dudes, Mexican girls, Mexican dudes. Like, don't believe all. That's like the dumbest thing I've ever fucking heard. Of course, people make false allegations all the time, and especially nowadays because you have shit like believe all women and Me Too that tells us that we have to just fucking believe whatever the fuck they say. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's a better way to word it. That's the best way to word it because it's just too much. You see it happen all the time nowadays, like celebrities and athletes. The other one was a 17-year-old sleeping with the. Okay, yeah, we're on the same page. We're on the same page. You know exactly. You know exactly what and who I'm talking about. Yeah, no. Once we hit 10K, I don't even care anymore. We're going names. We're going names. We're going full names. A PE teacher. The fact that it's a PE teacher for some reason just makes it worse. Like, really? None of the PE teachers in our town were worth, you know, like, dude, I could have done that girl better than a fucking PE teacher from our town, I'll tell you that much. And I didn't know shit about what I was doing back then. I was a late bloomer. I was a late bloomer, my friends. Just triggered your brain on something. Yeah, let it fly. Let it fly. Let it rip. Believe all women. Yeah, that was like the motto for years. I mean, people still say that shit. Dude, I would love to make Dixon a cool place. I like Dixon. I think Dixon's awesome, especially like in the wintertime. I love a winter season in Dixon, California. It just feels good. Just feels great. You can walk across town in 30 minutes. Dude, I love that shit. I think kids should be raised in small towns. I think kids should be raised in small towns, but what sucks is I think by the time the kids turn 17, they should be moved to a big city. I know that's not always possible because not everybody has the money to do that. But I always say, like, if I had kids and I had the money to do so, I would raise my kids in a small town. And then when they turn 17, we move to a big city. And the reason for that is because when they're small, you want them to have the safety that a small town usually provides. You know, you want the community that a small town provides. And because when they're young, there's not shit to do in a small town, but when you're young, you're encouraged to let your imagination run wild. Whereas once you get older, it's time to put the imagination away. Then you move into a big city because they're older, they can maybe protect themselves and defend themselves if they need to. But because there's just more like job opportunities. Like what sucks about the town, Dixon, what sucks about it is that when I turned like 18, what job are you going to get in Dixon? You're going to do construction, or you're going to work for like PG&E or be a cashier at Walmart. Like you're not going to find I always thought it'd be cool to like write for a magazine or something. I guess now it'd be an online magazine, but there's not a building I can walk into in Dixon and apply for a job that's going to require any kind of creativity at all from me, is basically what I'm saying. Yeah, it is all they want to tell you how you think. Remember there's like a famous article that went around. They straight up said something about like critical thinking, like how you're not supposed to critical think. I think it was like during COVID when they were telling you, like don't think about stuff or whatever. And I'm not getting into COVID at all. I don't care whatever people's thoughts are on COVID, but to me, there's not any case in the world where they should be telling you not to think about things. Like, yeah, you should be looking into everything. Just like, what's best for me and my family. Like that's completely up to you. You don't need. So yeah, I do think they are a neuro-linguistic programming, like you said. Everybody creates slogans nowadays. It's all about slogans and articles. Nobody actually reads the article; they read the headline. It's all about headlines and catchy catchphrases. And will it fit on a poster at a protest? That's all it is. Kids just want to. If it fits on a poster at a protest, that's all the kids care about. You just need like a flashy little logo. That's all they're into. Yeah, yeah, the Shannon Sharp thing is crazy. Hopefully, the thing that sucks about it is I was going to say hopefully they find him not guilty because I believe he's not guilty. But what sucks is that the damage is already done. That's what sucks about these false allegations when this stuff happens. Now, if you Google Shannon Sharp's name from now until forever, one of the first page results will always be, girl accuses Shannon Sharp of sexual assault. Like just having those words together in a headline that pops up in a Google search is enough. That's enough that the damage is done. You know, Now from now until forever, there will be people that think Shannon Sharp. Because generally, I would say generally, really only people that are doing like weird shit even get accused of things. You know what I mean? Like I've never been accused by a girl of doing any kind of thing like that because I don't go out and get into like shady situations with OnlyFans girls. I don't want to say like well-adjusted people don't usually get accused of things because yeah, of course it happens. There are people who face false allegations all the time. But generally, 7 or 8 times out of 10, if you live a pretty straight and narrow life, nobody's gonna come around and accuse you of some crazy shit. So, I think in the mind of the general public, when you Google somebody like Shannon Sharp now, all you need to see is one headline that says that he was accused of something, and your brain's gonna go, "Okay, so he must have done it," or "He's out doing shady shit, blah, blah, blah." So, I think it's a bummer. It's a bummer. All you gotta do is accuse somebody of something, and it's, like, enough that the public will make up their mind about you. Critical thinking is a dead attribute. It's just like a complete like, it's just dead at this point. Dude, I got a bunch of Facebook friends that are, like, girls that are, like, the archetypes of these girls that we're talking about that are just into all these, like, slogans, and they go to protests. Okay, I got a good one. Um, there's this girl. The funniest part is it's a girl that I used to make out with. It's a girl that I used to know. We met at shows that my band used to play, and we had a thing for a short time. Well, you guys know that now notorious, hilarious clip of RFK talking about when he started doing heroin? It's like a 5-second clip. He says, I was failing my classes. I started doing heroin. I was able to concentrate. I finished at the top of my class. That's the entire clip, right? So this girl, who I'm still friends with on Facebook, haven't seen her in years, whatever, but I see the stuff she posts about. She's always posting about political stuff, and she's fucking retarded. And she posted that clip, that 5-second clip, and she said, "Do people really like this guy? This guy thinks that autism is bad, but he thinks doing heroin is a good idea." So I commented on it, and I just said, "Look, I don't honestly know that much about RFK. I don't really care. I'm not defending him. I'm not in the business of defending any politician. But he's not saying that heroin is good. He's first of all, I said it's a 5-second clip. If you finish the interview, he literally goes on to say that heroin killed his brother and ruined his life. You took a 5-second clip, at the part of the story where he's just talking about the short-term benefits of a drug use, because that's what happens when you get into drugs. You start doing drugs, they do good things for you. You know, nobody would get addicted to drugs if the second you do them, your life falls apart. You get addicted to drugs because you start doing them, and good things start happening for a very short time, and then you get hooked, and then bad stuff happens. You know, so yeah, I just said that. I just said, he's just at the part of the story where he's got the short term benefits, but he goes on to say that heroin ruined his life. He's not saying that we should be doing heroin. I said, no politician would get on national TV and tell people to do heroin. That's ridiculous. So she commented back and literally just said, he also wants to take away Narcan, which also isn't true. He talks about how it's great that we have things like Narcan and Suboxone, but he says we need to do more than just these chemical tools. We need to get into the root cause of what causes addictions and stuff. But anyways, that's what she said, which is funny because she just immediately changes the subject, and it's just like, oh yeah, well he also did this, because she knew I was right. So I commented again and just said, I said, like I said, I'm not defending the guy. I was just letting you know that if, you want to post about this stuff and you want to convince people to take your side through discussion, you got to use more than just little 5-second clips that are completely out of context. He clearly wasn't saying that heroin is a good thing. And she literally commented back and said, something is along the lines of, well, I already knew what he said in the whole interview. So just because I only posted a 5-second clip doesn't mean I didn't know what he said the whole interview, but thanks anyways. And I was like, okay, then what, were you just lying when you posted the status about how he said heroin is a good thing? These people are like actually retarded, and they legitimately not only it's mostly millennials. It's all these people that are my age for sure. I have to own up to it. But it's not only the fact that they're retarded and they lack critical thinking, they also lack the ability to just admit when they're wrong and just say, oh, okay, yeah, good point. Like all she had to say was, oh, okay, yeah, I didn't see the full interview. It sounds like you're right. Good point. That's all you had to say. But she literally had to say, "Oh, well, I knew what he said. I just posted a 5-second clip. That doesn't mean I didn't see the whole thing." Well, clearly you didn't see the whole thing because the status you posted about the 5-second clip was completely wrong. But nobody in my generation can admit when they're wrong. Nobody can just say, "Oh yeah, that's a good point." You know, in a sane world, somebody would just pull up the fact and say this is what it is, and the other person would go, okay, good point. Let's move on to the next topic. That's all it would be. Like it's not that hard. It's completely ridiculous. Completely ridiculous. I almost made a like a I almost edited that Facebook conversation. I had to pull it up on screen here. I was gonna edit the names out. I was gonna edit her name out of it, but I forgot about it. But yeah, this made me think about it. Told me every man in the US military. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's like those all cops are bastards people. Which I get mad at because I one of my best friends is a cop, you know. I'm not like this fucking cop defender. I'm not going around defending police officers. But you're not going to tell me that all cops are bastards because I do know a cop and he's one of my best friends and he's the exact person you want to be a cop. You know, he's the kind of guy you'd want showing up if something happened and you had to call 911. So, I'm not a fan of generalizing an entire population. Dude, if my MacBook was broken and I went to the Apple store and I got some fucking retarded Apple store employee and he couldn't fix my MacBook, I wouldn't leave saying all Apple employees are stupid. No, that one Apple employee was stupid. That one guy clearly didn't know how to fix my laptop. That's not you can't generalize every single fucking Apple employee in the world. And nobody would do that, but they only do it with people in like positions of power or perceived power. They do it with cops and they do it with the military. All cops are bad people. All people in the military, yeah, are rapists. And it's just like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, Narcan is not a solution. It's a useful tool. It's great that we have it. Um, it's not strong enough. We're moving on to fentanyl. I don't think people are talking about that enough. That Narcan is not strong enough. People are still dying. There's stories about people like getting hit with 6 doses of Narcan and they still die. Yeah, no, it is a good thing, but she doesn't. I literally Googled it when she told me. She said RFK wants to take away Narcan. I Googled it, and the first article I got was an interview with him where he literally says, "Yeah, Narcan and Suboxone are very useful tools, but they're not the solution. We need to go deeper and find out why people are doing these things in the first place." That's what he said. I never saw anything about him saying, "Let's get rid of Narcan." I don't think anybody has ever once said, "Let's get rid of Narcan completely." I don't think anybody would advocate for that. That's crazy shit. Of course we shouldn't get rid of Narcan, but we shouldn't rely on it. That's what he was basically saying. But yeah, no, this girl she doesn't look into shit. She reads, people, they just read headlines of articles and news sites and people, they know that. That's why they make these like juicy headlines. And then you read the article and it's bullshit for like 7 pages. And then toward the end, it finally starts to get to the story. Maybe if you're lucky. Yeah, we're never gonna get any more Shannon Sharp on fucking ESPN. Yeah, yeah, there is kind of a thing. There's the joke about women with accountability nowadays. There was a great post I saw earlier. Somebody took it and turned it into a meme, but a girl posted it. It was like a selfie of her, and the caption said something about, "This is for the man who lured me out of my great marriage." Something like a guy lured her out of her marriage and then dumped her. So she's blaming him because now she lost her husband. But it's like, no, you cheated on your husband. You fucking retard. No one lured you out of shit. Call for a lawyer you don't have. And that's the funniest thing. Dude, if you can't afford a lawyer, just defend yourself. I'm joking when I say that, but yeah. Like, I would never call for a lawyer because I know I'm going to get a public defender and I'm just going to plead no contest. I want to talk to a lawyer. Yeah. Okay, so you want to plead no contest and just go to jail anyways? You're getting a public defender, motherfucker. Public defenders are like the most useless people on the planet. 100 women versus accountability. Dude, it'd be cool to see one woman versus 100 cases accountability. That might be more interesting. Just pick on one girl the whole time. Just make her own up to 100 things that she did. Of course, cops are necessary. Yeah. Of course, there are bad people that are cops, just like in any case. There's bad people that get jobs at Starbucks and, spit in your drink. Does that mean all Starbucks employees are bad people? No. Dude, if there were no cops, like the country would literally fall apart within days. Like people would be fucking dying in the streets if there were no cops. Like, be fucking realistic. Like, what's that thing that girls say? Be so for real right now. Like, be so for real right now, and actually imagine the country with no police. Like, people don't do things because they see a cop car like 2 blocks away. Like, that shit happens, and I know this because I've gone to meet up with dealers in parking lots, and you hear a faint siren from like halfway across town, and they don't want to meet. They're done. They're not. Oh, I gotta go home. I'm not. We can't meet in the parking lot. Like, even cops just existing deters people from committing crimes. So it's funny that people actually think that we could live in a world with no cops. Yeah, I was gonna say. It's funny. Some people really. Yeah, I mean, it's a good debate. 100 men would put up a. But I think the gorilla would win. I think the one gorilla would win. Um, I've heard some decent arguments though. A lot of kind of like psychological stuff. I think sometimes you see videos of gorillas that scare easily. Maybe you could scare a gorilla. But the thing is, let's say 100 men manage to get a gorilla down, like they have him pinned on the ground. What are men gonna do with their bare hands? Like, maybe you can gouge his eyes out, but then he's probably just gonna freak out and get up and kill. I don't know. I can't think of a way. Can you choke out a gorilla? Like, is it even possible for a human to actually kill a gorilla with his bare hands, even if the gorilla is fully vulnerable? BRB housework. Yeah, fuck yeah, you got housework. Housework is the backbone of a proper house. So, something like that. If there were no cops, everybody would have to carry. People don't even think that far though. Like, that's the thing when people talk about like defund the police. I don't even think their brain reaches to the next step. So yeah, when you say if there were no cops, everybody would have to carry. People don't even make it to what everybody would have to do, you know? Because no, not everybody would carry. People would literally just die in the streets. And that's the funniest thing is that the people that call for like defunding police, they're the first people that would die because they're the people that are against guns and would not go out and take shooting lessons and would not, they would just rely on the kindness of humanity or whatever the fuck. I don't know what they think. And they're going to die. And they're going to get killed by the people that they're advocating for because they're usually advocating for criminals, and dirt bags and shit bags and stuff. Yeah, it would just be like the purge. That is the thing is if the 100 men included, like if we got like John Jones, maybe he could choke out the gorilla. Maybe if you got like Joe Rogan, he could throw some hard kicks at the gorilla's head, maybe do some damage, maybe crack a skull or something. But yeah, if you don't get a trained fighter within that 100 men group, you're probably fucked. Gas station rhino pill. Dude, I've never tried one of those, but I have a buddy that did. He tried the gas station boner pills. I think he said nothing happened. He also did poppers for a while. I remember I tried a popper with him, and that was just like the worst thing. That was a crazy, crazy day. It was like my birthday, and one of my buddies got some China White. So I went over to his house and I snorted a couple lines of China White and then sniffed some popper and basically just passed out for like 10 minutes. 2009 Randy Orton. I would still put up 2007 Chris Benoit though. 2009 Randy Orton for sure. But I would still, if I got my number one choice, it'd be '07 Chris Benoit. Yeah, what's in the Rhino pills? Probably just like a shit ton of vitamins and caffeine or some shit. It's probably just like the unhealthiest version of caffeine you could imagine. Like it's not actual caffeine, but it's just some kind of. That is true. Randy Orton could do the punt kick on the gorilla. If you could get the gorilla on his hands and knees, just have a just yeah, have Randy Orton, '06 Batista. Yeah, '05, '06 Batista. Also '05, '06 Bobby Lashley. I think people always forget how badass Bobby Lashley used to be, like when he first came to the company. I was a kid, like I watched Bobby Lashley's debut. I think it was against Simon Dean. If it wasn't Simon Dean, it was some other SmackDown jobber at the time. But Bobby Lashley was like terrifying, like the biggest pecs and like biceps you've ever seen in your fucking life. And he's still big and scary today, but just back in '05, dude, Bobby Lashley was a fucking madman. And yeah, '05, '06 Batista. Batista's my first favorite wrestler. I started watching wrestling in '05 when Batista was world heavyweight champion on SmackDown, when he was wearing the sunglasses and like white suits and shit and doing the fucking. Oh yeah, '06 Batista was just a fucking madman. I remember when he got injured. When he got injured, and they did the storyline where they get injured in real life, so they make a storyline to explain why they got injured. And the storyline was that Mark Henry injured him in the steel cage match. I remember when Batista came back, I got a VHS tape and I tried to record the episode of SmackDown on the VCR, but I did something wrong and I didn't record it and I was bummed out. But yeah, I tried to record his comeback because he came back and he fucked up Mark Henry. That was like one of the best days of my life. I think that was 2006. If it wasn't '06, it was '07, but I think it was '06 because Batista got injured pretty soon, unfortunately. Once he won the World Heavyweight Championship and then got traded to SmackDown, he got injured pretty quick. And it was a bummer having to wait for him to come back. But yeah, I remember when he came back, he fucked up Mark Henry. And of course, I hated Mark Henry because I knew him as the guy that injured Batista. Man, TikTok is so fucking weird. I'm trying to pay more attention to my TikTok. I'm trying to take better care of like my shorts. Like I'm trying to do more on the TikTok and like YouTube shorts, stuff like that. Back to wrestling, bro. Bobby Lashley. Honestly, today I don't care about Bobby Lashley too much now for some reason. Like for some reason I don't see him the way I saw him when he first came into the company. And like I said, I know he's still big and scary, but just for some reason, it's kind of like Brock Lesnar. Like Brock Lesnar is still also big and terrifying and a whole different animal. But dude, Brock Lesnar when he first came into WWE when he was young and on SmackDown, like he was actually like the scariest man you've ever seen in your fucking life. Like when he was throwing that dude in a wheelchair down the stairs and beating up the guy with one leg. What the fuck? I never heard the story. Chris Masters pulled a tree out of the ground. Dude, Chris Masters probably put that fucking tree in the master lock too. And I guarantee you that tree cannot beat the master lock challenge. Yeah, Chris Masters was I hated him when I was a kid, but that's because he was a bad guy. I remember Chris Masters teaming up with Carlito. That was that era when they were just kind of putting random people together in tag teams. Like we got Kane and the Big Show as a tag team. Then we got Chris Masters and Carlito. No, I had no idea Vince wanted to give Brock a stuttering gimmick. That sounds terrible. Brock came in perfectly, just coming in with Paul Heyman, just fucking dudes up. He came in. They did things right with him in the beginning, so I'm glad they didn't give him a fucking stuttering gimmick. That's crazy. That's crazy work that they wanted Brock Lesnar to have a stutter. Well, is he just gonna have like a stutter and then fuck people up? Oh, while we're on wrestling, I'm gonna go in like 15 minutes. But have you guys seen that new thing that Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff are doing? I can't believe I didn't think to talk about that. That looks terrible. Please tell me you guys have seen this. And it's a big bummer because I really like Eric Bischoff. I'm a really big fan of Eric Bischoff. But this thing he's doing with Hulk Hogan looks really fucking bad. Like it's not gonna last more than 2 months. I'm gonna wait to see. I'm gonna wait to see if you guys have heard of it. There's no way you guys haven't seen something about it. Bret Hart as a cowboy sounds terrible. That's yeah. When you mentioned Brock Lesnar with a stutter, I think he'd be like a special ed kid, and Vince McMahon he'd have retard strength. Is probably the pitch that Vince McMahon was going with. Okay, is that all you saw though? You saw the NWO thing. So Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff they put up some video on Twitter. It's them doing the whole NWO and black and white thing, and they said they have a big announcement coming up. Dude, they're starting their own wrestling league, like their own promotion, and it's freestyle wrestling. So it's basically MMA wrestling, but the characters are gonna have gimmicks. It sounds like the worst, and they've got an event. It's coming up in like Cleveland. Let me see. I'm gonna try to find Eric Bischoff's fucking Twitter. I follow him on Twitter. Yeah, RAF, freestyle wrestling built for the big stage. It's called Real American Freestyle. Of course, Real American. Get it, Hulk Hogan. Yeah, Real American Freestyle Wrestling, and they got some other guy who's like an MMA wrestler guy who's like joining them with the who's like joining them. Oh yeah, Matt Morgan. That's one of those names you don't hear very often just because he kind of fucking came and went real quick. Let's see, I got an article pulled up. Let me see. Yeah, Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff have launched Real American Freestyle, an unscripted freestyle wrestling league injected with storytelling and colorful characters. Real American Freestyle. Oh, of course, Hulk Hogan has teased that Donald Trump might be at their first event. I think it's like next month in Cleveland. I doubt Donald Trump will be there because there's no way this is going to draw more than like 100 people to the crowd. Yeah, pretty much UFC with gimmicks. From what it sounds like, it's more focused on wrestling. So, like, I would imagine they're not going to be doing, in UFC, you obviously can punch and kick. It sounds like this is mostly wrestling. But yeah, freestyle wrestling, but there are characters. So no predetermined finishes. It just sounds like the worst fucking thing I've ever heard of. Eric Bischoff, as much as I like Eric Bischoff, it sucks to say he's failed at a lot of things. I never realized what his history with TV was. If you look at Eric Bischoff's Wikipedia, he's produced and like started a lot of TV shows that were just terrible. As much as I like Bischoff, he really is a one-trick pony. It is the NWO, and luckily that's big enough. That was big enough for him to make his entire name on, because nothing else he's done has ever succeeded. It's kinda like Vince McMahon with pro wrestling, Vince has really failed at everything else he did besides wrestling, um, television production career. Yeah, Bischoff produced reality TV shows up until 2017. He produced a Girls Gone Wild pay-per-view. Eric Bischoff, a live Girls Gone Wild pay-per-view from Florida in 2003. Um, they produced a VH1 show about Scott Baio, a dating show. I don't know who Scott Baio is. I assume he's like a celebrity. Scott Baio. Yeah, he was like a child actor, it looks like. And then he started a reality show. I remember this one, Hulk Hogan's Celebrity Championship Wrestling. I think that was on like Country Music TV or something like CMT. And Eric Bischoff produced the television series Hardcore Pawn Chicago. It was a spin-off of Hardcore Pawn, of course. So yeah, no, Bischoff has a really interesting, and I mean, I guess not failed career. Obviously, he's done very well for himself. But just the things that he's done, you know. Now he's gonna do this freestyle wrestling. Yeah, it just sounds really bad. Sounds terrible. It's gonna fail. And like I said, it's one of the great bummers of my life because I like Eric Bischoff a lot. I mean, I mostly like him as a character. He was the general manager of Raw when I was a kid. He was an incredible bad guy. Okay, so we know who Scott Baio is. Or okay, cool. Charles in Charge. I've heard the name Charles in Charge. Chachi from Happy Days. Okay. Okay, well, yeah. So in like the late or the early 2010s, he did one of those reality shows where he was single, I think, and he went on dates with girls and shit. And it was produced by Eric Bischoff, who I like a lot, like I've been talking about. I like that Eric Bischoff has produced a Girls Gone Wild pay per view. That's actually pretty cool. I know WWE used to work with Girls Gone Wild in like the early 2000s. They did a couple of events together, and got bands like Tony Danza. Okay, that makes sense. This makes sense. Yep, that's the one I'm talking about. Scott Bale is 45 and single. Dude, that sounds like the description of my life. Except I'm 31, but I'll hit 45 and still be single. Hopefully, somebody makes a reality TV show about me dating a bunch of girls. I can't imagine doing one of those dating reality shows. They just sound terrible because you're not really dating. You know what I mean? Like you're just doing a TV show. You're not actually dating. Do any of those people actually really end up together and like get married? I'm sure there are plenty of them. But, seems like a terrible way to I don't wanna say a terrible way to start a relationship because I don't even believe that they're real relationships. It's just a terrible idea, those dating reality TV shows. I don't know whoever thought of that idea first. Let's do a reality TV show about people dating. Yeah, pretty much. It's just like who wants to whore yourself out for a washed up actor on TV? And, like, we present it in a little bit more of a classy way than just, porn. It's the same thing with, like, Rock of Love with Bret Michaels. That was fucking terrible. It was hilarious, but it was terrible. What Flavor of Love with Flavor Flav. That's when you know your career, like, you need to just retire is when somebody pitches to you, "Let's do a show where you date a bunch of people and, you find your true love. Let's find you some real love." Especially when it's, like, you're Bret Michaels. Really any celebrity, even if you're Scott Baio, like, even if you're washed up, you should be able to walk down the street in Hollywood and find a 22-year-old girl that will get with you, if anything, just because you have money. Yeah, exactly. Put a little bit more spark into it for me, honey. I'm not feeling the passion. Imagine having to direct that stuff too, or like be a cameraman. Like you're holding the camera and like Scott Baio or Bret Michaels is having like a candlelit dinner with some girl. And it's TV, so they got to get real personal. So it's like Bret Michaels, saying some shit like, "Oh yeah, when I was a kid, my dad used to whoop my ass, and he thought I was a sissy." And you're just like watching. Charlie Sheen did everything right. Charlie Sheen absolutely did everything right. Oh, I got something in my eye. I got my fan thing right here. I think this shit's blowing something in my eye. Oh, this is terrible. Right up until the STDs. Uh, there's a difference between Charlie Sheen catching STDs though, and like me and you catching STDs. You know, Charlie Sheen probably has the money. Charlie Sheen probably has enough money that he forgets that he has STDs. He's definitely on some Magic Johnson shit. Yeah, that's like a fan. That's classic. I think that's what year was that interview? That's like when I was in high school. Like I remember when that interview came out, and that was like big. That was like viral before viral was even a thing. Yeah, 2011. 2011. So what Cole and I were juniors. So either what depending on the month, we were either sophomores or juniors. No, we were either juniors or seniors, depending on the month. What month was it? It says February of 2011. So yeah, we were juniors. And I remember, yeah, that shit was like viral before viral was even a word that people used. You guys see the fucking Charlie. Everybody started saying winning. That was the worst part, was that winning became a big thing. Everybody would say winning all the time. In like, in like the quirky, you remember like early 2010s kind of quirky humor where like, you know, the girl with bangs would talk about how she has a pet rock and how she talks to inanimate objects and she is winning all the time. Shit like that. Yeah, no, definitely. I would lose a little bit of respect for Charlie Sheen if he didn't have STDs. You don't make as much money as that guy. That guy was like making like $1 million an episode. Like every episode he made. I can't remember what the actual price was, but $800,000 an episode. And then his salary increased to almost $2 million an episode. So every episode of that show he made $2 million. I was a kid. That is funny. The real definition of viral is, yeah, you got like crabs. You got some kind of illness, some kind of disease. Nowadays, viral is like what every kid wants. Yeah, as cool as jealous of the life as I am, I never really care for Charlie Sheen at all, though. Like I didn't watch Two and a Half Men. I don't even know what the fuck Two and a Half Men is about. But just that one interview was good enough. They were gonna go viral. We're gonna catch chlamydia. I think I have a friend who got gonorrhea one time. I think it was gonorrhea. I think. Is it the clap that's gonorrhea? If that's what it is, then yeah. It's it was a bummer because he got cheated on. He didn't do anything. He got cheated on by his girlfriend. And the girlfriend the guy that she cheated with gave it to her, and then she gave it to the guy that I know. So that's how he found out his girlfriend cheated on him. She called him and said, "Hey, you might wanna go get tested." Um, you know? He's like, "What the fuck?" Yeah, now viral means he may not have to go back to work. I had a slight tease. I remember that time. The best thing that this channel's ever done was, okay, it was chlamydia. That makes sense, clap chlamydia. So, yeah, no, he didn't have gonorrhea, then he must have got chlamydia, and, the doctor gave him some medicine, he was fine. I made a joke, this was, like, forever ago. The best thing this channel's ever done is that Instagram reel where I talk about how there's no more real rock stars, and Tommy Lee from Motley Crue reposted it. That's, like, mini viral. It obviously wasn't viral. That video on Instagram does not have, like, 1,000,000 likes, but I remember my phone blew up for a while, like, for a few days, I couldn't get my phone to stop. Um, Let me actually find the stats. Yeah, 253,000 views, 6,000 likes, and then it was forwarded 15,000 times, and one of those people was Tommy Lee. Tommy Lee reposted it. In the comments, dude, there's like, one of the bass players for Danzig is in the comments. We still actually follow each other. Um It looks like this is how I met that Lee that was just in chat earlier. Um, Alice Cooper's original guitarist was in the comments. This is, like, the closest I ever got to, like, a viral moment. Um, I forget all the musicians who commented on this post of mine, but yeah, Alice Cooper's original guitar player, one of Danzig's former bass players, who I sometimes still wanna see if he might come on the channel because, he's, like, big on sobriety nowadays, and maybe I could talk to him about, like, drug addiction and stuff. Yeah, here's Alice Cooper's guitar player commenting. This Vicious One, that's his name on Instagram. I think, like, the bass player from Sum 41 is in here too. This is, like, the best moment of my life when this shit started getting comments from, like, people. I hate Sum 41, by the way, so I'm not referring to him when I say this, but, like, Alice Cooper's original guitar player, that's badass. Let me see, actually, I don't think it's his original guitar player, one of his guitar players. Yeah, now that I'm looking, he looks a little young. He might be the guitar player right now. Alright, that was a good rant on going viral. I know a dude, hooker, got the clap, didn't know, and then gave it to his girlfriend. Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, if you're gonna do a hooker, you gotta get tested, like, immediately afterward. That seems like a pretty easy case to make. Yeah, for some reason, I always thought gonorrhea was the clap. I'm being Tommy Lee. That's actually awesome. I'd be pretty, usually you hear stories about your mom like that and you're bummed out, but I wouldn't be bummed out about that. I usually assume that most people's moms have when it comes to the guys in Motley Crue, and if not the guys in Motley Crue, some guy in a hair metal band. Everyone's mom has probably done it with a guy who, like, teased his hair and played in a band at one time or another. Every girl should do it with a guy in a rock band at least once in their life. That should be like a rite of passage kind of in the world of, girlhood. Like, every girl should get with a rock and roll guy at one point in their life. Most of my ex-girlfriends, it's funny, if you look at my lineup of ex-girlfriends, if you look at all of their lineups of exes, in a lot of their cases, you can tell that I was the phase that they went through when they wanted to get with a long-haired guy who plays guitar in a rock band. All of their exes look, like a one certain type or one of two certain types, and then there's me. And I always thought that was funny that I was clearly the phase that all of these girls went through when they decided, "I'm gonna try a guy in a rock band. I'm gonna try a sensitive, emotional guy who plays rock and roll. That's what I'm gonna try. This is gonna work." No, I didn't see the video. Obviously, I heard about that, though. Is it actually, like, as bad? Is it like, does she really shoot at a cop? 'Cause that's what I read, that she shot first or something, or she didn't comply. It sounds like she's on drugs. Good job, your poor decision in your youth panned out to be a good story. That's the thing, if you're gonna make poor decisions in your youth, you at least hope you get some good stories out of them, you know? There are some poor decisions that I would say are even worth it just for the story. It depends though, you know? Like, I've got great stories, but I have no one to tell them to. That's kind of the sad thing. You know, like, if I had a kid right now, it'd be awesome. I'd, like, tell my kid funny stories. Once he's old enough, of course. Like, as of right now, I don't really have shit to tell or people to tell shit to. Imagine this kid going back to school. "How was my weekend?" Michael J And that is true. If Michael Jackson is your first encounter, your first experience, she had no reason to be outside her house with a gun. Okay, so she's the crazy one. She is the one that was on drugs and doing shit she didn't need to be doing, and the cops had no need to unload. Oh, Jesus Christ. There's no need to be shooting any girl 8 times, I don't think. Even if she has a gun. I mean, if she has a gun, you obviously wanna get her down. I'm usually kind of the mindset so, like, when you see those I guess I'm torn on this. When you see those videos online where, like, a girl punches a guy and then the guy punches her back and it obviously fucking, rocks her shit, sometimes it KOs him because it's a man punching a woman. There's always the debate, was this guy in the right to punch the girl? Usually, I say, yes, anybody who punches somebody deserves to get punched back. But then my, like, soft spot kicks in, my soft spot for girls, and I say, "No, I don't care. If a girl punched me, I'm not gonna hit her back." Like, I that's kind of the school of thought that I go about it. So in the cops case, that's what I'm saying. Did they even really need to shoot at her at all? Like, yes, I see that there's a woman with a gun, but my soft spot might take over, and I might say, "No, I'm just gonna run at her and hope she doesn't shoot me and tackle me, because I don't wanna, I don't wanna shoot this woman." Yeah, see, that's a lot of people's opinions too, and I totally get it. Like I said, half of me says that too. If a woman punches me in the face, I'm gonna fucking punch her because she punched me. But like I said, I've got this side. I've got this side of me. It's, well, if a girl punches me, it's a girl. I'm gonna turn the other cheek or walk away. I think it would just for me, it would depend on the scenario, the context. It would depend on the girl too, for sure. It would depend on the girl that's punching me and why she's punching me. Okay, okay, 2 back and forth. Yeah, 2 different. This is good, 2 different takes. Yeah, I think overall, I would just say it would just depend on the scenario, you know? Yeah. Yeah, no, I would imagine every guy has that side. I always say I think that's why horror movies are so successful with male audiences because most horror movies, especially the older ones, it's usually girl victims. And I think that pulls at the heartstrings of a guy. Guys seeing girls get killed by slasher villains in horror movies really gets you invested into the movie. It just sucks seeing like physical things happen to girls. Like no guy wants to see that. Yeah, can you imagine? A beautiful woman, I can't punch that. What if it's an ugly girl though? What if it's like Gorlock the Destroyer from the whatever podcast? What if she? I'm still not sure if Gorlock the Destroyer is a boy or a girl. But what if she punched you? Yeah, no, yeah, see, I definitely have that side too. Like I said, it would just be a context case for me. Depend on the situation. Depends on where I'm at. Depends on who the girl is. Depends on why she's punching me. Depends on what we're arguing about. Stuff like that. A girl tried to puke in front of my friends one night. That's a weird. Oh, you're saying punch you, punk. Okay, I thought you're that puke. That puke typo really threw me there. That really threw me off right there. Yeah, no, if we're talking a fat girl for sure. I might just punch a fat girl just for no reason. It might just be a bad Monday and I just come across a fat girl on the street. I might just punch a fat girl just because I want to. And if we're talking about a fat girl jumping into something that's got nothing to do with her, yeah, no, for sure. What you gonna do about it is, mom says she loves you. Does mom hear me talking about punching fat girls? I'm surprised mom's even awake. It's like 8:12 PM. I need to get off of here, actually. I just realized it's like 8:12 PM. She wasn't fat, she was just ratchet. That's a factor I'd consider too, the ratchet factor. There are definitely some girls that I went to high school with that got punched by dudes, and, I wouldn't have been the one to do it, but I also would not have, you know, I I wouldn't have said anything. Yes, oh, that's awesome. And she stepped to me, so she was taller than me. Well, if she's taller than you know, how tall are you though? That depends. If you're like 5'6", then I don't wanna hear shit about how she was taller than you. But if you're like 6'3" and you met a girl that's taller than you, then I would also say, sure, you could punch her. Any girl that's taller than 6 feet can probably can probably can probably get punched and I won't feel as bad. Because any girl that's taller than 6 feet is probably just a freak show. Yeah, I think I still have those clips, from that podcast. They've got 1 or 2 episodes that are still up. I was on, like, 3 episodes of that podcast, the videos that I sent in. I think only 1 or 2 of them is still on YouTube, though. But, I have those clips. They're on the Instagram. I have them posted. I made a reel. I made a reel, and I tagged them in it hoping that they would see it and, like, comment or something, but, of course, they didn't. But, yeah, that was fun. That was when I was just working at a job that was really slow, and I was just sitting around making videos to send into this podcast. Johnny Mitchell's really big though now. Johnny Mitchell's got like over 1,000,000. He's got a YouTube channel with over 1,000,000 subs. Once in a while, I'll message him on Instagram. Like I'll respond to a story of his, and he still will respond sometimes. I've been talking to. It's funny. He never remembers me from time to time, obviously. But I was watching Johnny Mitchell when he was had like 1,000 subs on YouTube. I texted him because he used to do a. He had a number that you could text, and he would read it on his YouTube channel back when it was just the Johnny Mitchell show. And it was just him talking about, like, just inappropriate shit. It was just kinda like a comedy thing. Okay, you're 5'9", and she was, like, 5'11". Yeah, 5'11", that's getting up there. That's getting up there. I probably wouldn't defend her, you know? If this girl's, like, 5 feet tall, I would probably try to help her out, but if she's, like, 5'11", be like, "Bro, you got this. You're good." When a girl says, "What are you gonna do about it, though?" That's kind of like a key phrase right there. When they say, "What are you gonna do about it?" Things get pretty serious. Pulled a Maverick Top Gun. Don't think, just do. Yeah, anytime you ever have any moral questions, I think Tom Cruise is always a good reference point. A girl that was 6 feet tall. I think the tallest girl I've dated was like 5'9", maybe 5'10". And I'm really bad at heights. Like I can't look at anybody and tell you what their height is. But realistically, I can get with any girl as long as she's not as tall as me, which is, I've never met a girl that's as tall as me. I met a dude who's taller than me. Uh, I was hanging out with 2 of my buddies in Sacramento, and one of my friends, his buddy came through, and I was like, I jokingly say, I was like, dude, I don't like this guy. I don't like people that are taller than me. This guy is like, sometimes he's in chat. When he's in chat, I'll have to ask him. This dude's seriously probably like 6'6". like maybe 6, 7. Like he was like, "Oh, hey, this is my friend," and he introduced me, and I turned around and I literally looked up at like it was. I've never looked up at a person in my fucking life. My friend Kelly is like 1 or 2 inches taller than me, so but I'm not looking up. But this guy, I was straight up. It was like I was looking at the Great Khali. It was super fucking weird. I've like never had a moment where I had to look up at somebody like that. Are you gonna act like a lady? That's what I said to all my ex-girlfriends. Sometimes they're not, you know, sometimes they're not doing my laundry the way I like it, and I fucking hit them with, "Are you gonna be a lady?" Her nickname was Popcorn. Are you asking me why about something? Because I'm asking you why was her nickname Popcorn. Jesus Christ. That'd be a weird. I'd probably back off if a girl smelled like popcorn. That'd be kind of a weird, because that's a really specific smell. I mean, that's really mostly just like the smell of, not hot butter. I don't want to say that, but it's definitely you know, like a very specific. I don't think you mistake the smell of popcorn for anything else, you know. And if you think you smell popcorn down there, that's probably exactly what it's. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. That's not an easily like, oh, I can't tell if it's this or that. Like, dude, popcorn is popcorn. That's one of those nicknames that must suck to get, though. Some nicknames are fun. Some nicknames are life ruining. I would consider popcorn for a girl a life ruining nickname for sure. I'd be devastated if people were calling me popcorn. All right, I'm gonna go. I gotta go. I gotta go take care of my night business. I'll sit here and wait for usually everybody's either gonna say bye or somebody's in the middle of typing something right now. Whatever you gotta say, get it out, because I'm gonna be out of here in 2 to 3 minutes. That's my time limit. We got 2 to 3 minutes left. I gotta go message this girl back. A very interesting girl messaged me on Instagram as I was on here, and I purposely didn't say anything about it because I got to go back and figure out the right thing to say. Nothing's gonna happen with this girl. She's kind of a long distance gal that I just talked to, but I am gonna play my cards right with this one. So I got to meticulously plan this message out. Cole, I don't know if you're still around. I know you said sometimes it's hard chat for you, but if you are still around, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for hanging out. I'll probably be back on either Monday or Tuesday. I'm hoping to have Mark back on Monday or Tuesday. Fizz, I don't think you've ever met Mark. Mark was an OG co-host on the channel. One of the best. One of the best. Yeah, he's awesome. You'll like him a lot. You and him definitely seem to have a lot in common. Protomex, yeah, she's one of these like random internet crushes that I have on the disco page. And it sounds like she's now reciprocating for the first time. We've never talked, like that or anything. But like I said, she's long distance. She is California, but she's long distance. But yeah, I gotta plan this message out right. I mean, it sounds like I don't really have to plan anything out too much. Like I said, nothing's gonna happen from it. But I at least want to make it good. Yeah, Mark is the man. Yeah, he messaged me and he said he's off until Thursday. So I told him maybe we could do Monday or Tuesday. I don't think he's responded yet, but it looks like any day next week will do. Hopefully he says yes. Monday is Cinco de Mayo, so it'd be cool to do a Cinco de Mayo stream. Yeah, right on. I'll be back on, like I said, Monday or Tuesday. You guys will see when I'm on. So thank you guys for fucking hanging out. I'm gonna hit the outro and get the fuck out of here.
Here today to groove and have a beautiful time together, and that it's only the beginning. Sometimes I think I'm drunk and then I realize I am drunk. Sometimes I think I'm drunk and then I realize